You know why this doesn't change? It's supposed to change. All right. Oh, hello, how are you? You all good? Excellent. Good to see you. Good to see you, team. Good to see you. All right, we're going to be, hey, Brandon, how are you?
Hi, Mr. David. Good.
Excellent. Good to hear. All right, now we're going to be pressing on because that's how you get the TV to work. And we're going to be having a further look into the idea of elasticity. And as part of that, we're going to extend it. Okay, we're going to be thinking about obviously the application, yes, of elasticity and impacts on different stakeholders, etc. But we're also going to then take another leap into the second half of the elasticity section, right, that you're going to learn. You've got two halves of elasticity that you're going to learn, and so we're going to branch, hopefully, into the second half of the elasticity topic. All right. Now, also, I have discovered some noises. So in case you hear some noises, here we go, here's one. That's what that is, okay? All right, because I found it funny. I can also make this noise. Oh, that's not a good one. What about this one? That's pretty cool, that one. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I posted into the classroom the Nearpod code. It is AM7KQ. AM7KQ. If you wouldn't mind, please jumping into the Nearpod using the code AM7KQ. Should be in the classroom. If it is not, which I put it there, so it should be there, is also obviously at the top left-hand corner here of the screen. Good to see you arriving in. We've got a few of you in there now, which is fantastic. Let's see. See, I can add noises now. That's pretty exciting, isn't it? Hey, I tell you. Oh, George. How are you, Iman? All right?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Thank you
for
asking.
No problem. We're going to do some presenting. So I'm going to jump to the meet here, present to there. Going to go into Nearpod. You should all be arriving in Nearpod. As said before, the code AM7KQ. The Nearpod code is in the classroom as we speak. So if we could get you all in there, we're going to be continuing our investigating into the idea of elasticity, applications, etc., and having a further look at the second half. Well, we're having a look at the second half of elasticity as well. All right, so if you jump in there, that's good. We've got 6 in there at the moment. All right, if I do that. All right. All right. Now, the rest of you will be joining very soon into the Nearpod. All right. So we discussed what elasticity is. We had a look at PED, the way to calculate PED. All right, the percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in the price. We discussed about the idea being some coefficients, some products, we're going to have a high degree of elasticity, others a relatively low degree of elasticity. So elastic, inelastic. We talked about how they would resemble potentially the letter E if they were more elastic, and more like the letter I if they were more inelastic. All right. Now, we talked about some of the determinants of elasticity for PED, things that would determine where or how strong the elasticity of it would be, so whether it was elastic or inelastic, and also how the degree to which it was elastic or inelastic. All right, so there were 8 of those, so we need to know those 8. Now, ladies and gentlebeans, we need to have a go at an exercise which is coming up very soon. And it is, well, there we did revenue boxes. About what revenue is, we drew some revenue boxes. Now, these were the two rules. Can I just review these two rules, please, with regards to the application of elasticity to revenue? All right, so these are really crucial because they're a separate bullet point in your syllabus, which means they can be an individual question in your exam, or the understanding of it might need to be unpacked in your exam. So here are the two rules, and there are only two rules. The first one says that if the demand for a product is elastic, so it is very responsive to a change in price, then the firm, in order to increase its total revenue, the firm should decrease its price. And the converse statement to that is if the demand for a product is inelastic, so not responsive to a change in price, then the firm should increase its price in order to increase total revenue. No, I quite like the noises. All right. So those are the two rules. All right. And as said, they can be individually asked, as in explain, okay, what happens to total revenue if the demand for a product is elastic. All right. Explain the impact, what pricing decision the firm should make if the demand is elastic or inelastic. Or it could be about a specific product, right? And you then work out the elasticity and then work out, once you know that elasticity, so it's inelastic, then you might need to give advice as to what they should do with their price. Now, I have a feeling we talked about this the other day about the who cares aspect, where we talked about how it was possible, right, that there is different groups of people who were interested in knowing about PED because it would help them, okay? So the first group of people that we discussed, did we discuss this the other day? Hello? Maybe. Well, maybe it's half of a May, but twice of a May. Right, so let's have a go through this again then. Let's in case we haven't done this. All right, now, if you are a business, if you are a firm, okay, then knowing PED, knowing the price elasticity of demand is going to help you figure out what pricing strategy to do. All right, so when we're talking about pricing strategy, we're talking about the business deciding, should I increase my prices? Should I lower my prices? All right, so if the product has a PED that's inelastic, as we saw, the firm to increase their revenue should increase their price. So this knowledge of PED then helps them to figure that out. And the way it does that is by helping them figure out what impact price changes are going to have on their revenue. So helps them figure out their pricing strategies, helps them to figure out the impact on their revenue, and it's also going to enable the firm to engage in what's called price discrimination, where you're looking at different groups of people who are going to have different degrees of price elasticity with regards to the product, because not everybody will have the same, because everybody's got different budgets and different incomes and different tastes and preferences, etc. So the classic example that we talked about or would talk about would be airline travel. Okay, so you've got the economy class and then the premium economy class and then the business class and then the first class. So the people who go to those have different degrees of elasticity. So you're then able to charge a different price depending on who is more inelastic with regards to those different aspects of that same product. All right? And similarly for you, you know, bus services that might be cheaper because you're a student, movie tickets that might be cheaper because you're a student, all of those sorts of things. They're engaging in what's called price discrimination because they know that your elasticity is likely to be very different from some other people's. So therefore, they are wanting to charge you potentially a different price. It also will enable firms or businesses to work out how much of taxes can be passed on to consumers. That's a little bit more complicated, and we haven't really, we've discussed that in passing when we've talked about the supply curve, okay? If the government puts an indirect tax on a product, then it's going to increase their costs. So the business is going to want the price to increase in order to recover the revenue, excuse me, the revenue that they should be earning from the sale of that product, right? Because they're going to be paying the government X amount of the tax. Now, if it's an inelastic product or more inelastic product, then they're going to be able to say, well, we'll increase the price, that'll gain us more revenue, and we'll be able to use that extra revenue to pass on to the government so that we're not actually losing out, okay? Whereas consumers, because it's inelastic, they're going to buy it regardless of the price, so they end up paying more of the tax, okay? And down here, the government, they are going to be quite interested because it will tell them how much tax revenue they're potentially going to be able to get, particularly if they are, as said, putting taxes on an inelastic good. All right. Now, that's going to come back to us again. We're going to see that again a little bit later. So there's going to be a link between this idea and another idea, and the idea of linking different theories across a syllabus is actually called synergy, in case you were wondering. And it's a very good skill to be able to do, to have a look and link elasticity to another topic, and therefore showing the examiner that you are really a rock star. All right, now here's a practice for you. Now, hopefully you've got calculators either on your phones or on your computers somewhere nearby, or maybe you are just such a rock star mathematician that you're able to do this sort of stuff in your head. Well, let's have a look at this one. Movie tickets have increased from $10 to $11 a ticket. And this has decreased the quantity demanded, which we'd expect, from 3,500 customers to 3,325 customers per week. What is the PED? Calculate and explain. All right, so first thing you can do with these sorts of questions is have a look at the numbers. Now, it might be that you can, you can see right away, right? You don't have to be a big mathematician to see that this is a $1 change, and this is quite a different change here in quantity demanded, right? So that's 10% change. You can probably very quickly work that out in your head, and then you're going to be able to, maybe you can work this one out in your head as well and work out that that isn't quite 10%, right? And if we do the actual calculation, you should come out with a PED answer. So away you go. Bit of a race to see who gets it first. Okay.
Ask,
Yeah.
you hungry?
Always. Well, it's a bit early still. If we can do some rice.
Rice?
Yeah, and yeah. So if you start it now, then yeah, start it now.
So,
Thank you. Oh, how are we getting on? All right. Now you need to work out the percentage changes with this one. I haven't given you the percentages. So you're going to need to work out percentage change between $10 and $11, and then the percentage change between 3,500 and 3,325 customers. There you go. Have a go. Won't take long. Oh, somebody might have got it already. Good guess. All right, good guess. I need to rethink that one a little bit. Have another go. That's an idea. It's an idea. Maybe, yeah, okay. Have a bit more of a think about that one. Well, here we go, Lishan. You've got an idea here. Good. Good. Oh, let's have a look at this one. Gosh, Irina, well done. Look at this. Okay, so you've worked out the difference here, worked out the percentage change. You've got negative 5%. We just ignore the negatives quite clearly. 11 minus 10, yes, difference over original times 100. You've got the 10% there. So you're going to do 5 over 10. 5 over 10, yes. You right? Yes, because that's the price. Quantity over price. Well done, queen over princess. And end up with 0.5. Very good, Irina. Yeah. So that's 10. That's where we fell down. So yes, it is 5%, but it's 10%. Yeah. So 5% over 10%. It should give you 0.5 as a coefficient for price elasticity of demand. Okay. Now, this can appear in this particular format in your exam. Okay. Now, it might be that it's multiple choice. So the actual, there's a range of answers that you can choose from. So you'll know that one of the answers will be right. Or it might be that this is just an actual question in the short response paper where you actually do have to do the calculation. And even if it's multiple choice, you're going to have several answers that are going to look similar. So you are going to have to still do the calculation. So you're going to need to work out that this is 10% and then do the calculation here and see that that isn't 10%. That's only 5%. So 5% divided by 10% gives you 0.5 because 5, as you can work out, is half of 10. All right. And if we see that, we can actually pretty quickly work out that this is an inelastic response because it is less than proportional. The price change is 10%, but the quantity change is only 5%. So it is less than proportional. So therefore, this is a more inelastic response. Okay, so that's how that works. All right. Now that you know how to do it, that's a very Australian answer. Right, then you're going to need to do another one. Let's have a look. See, here we go. This time, it's a football club. They have raised the price of their tickets from $50 to $60 per ticket. Guessing it's a good football club. I don't know. The quantity demanded for tickets has decreased from 50,000 tickets to 45,000 tickets. What is the PED? What does that tell you about the PED for the football tickets? All right. So again, you've got to work out the percentage change in price. You've got to work out the percentage change in quantity. Quantity over princess. Sorry. Yes, queen over princess is the order. And have a go. You've got about a minute. Have a go at that. Let's see who gets it first. Oh, Abu's here. Hello, Abu. Good to see you. Got an answer first. Oh, Goodman Kane. Well done. noisemakers. What does that make? What noise does that make? Okay. That's different. Yeah. Well done, Emma. Very good. And Lishan, here you go. You've got the calculation there. Yes, very good. All right, so we've included in here, there's the worked out percentage change, right, for both the price and the quantity, dividing the percentage change in quantity by the percentage change in price. You've got a 0.5 PED. Now, yes, well done. Please have a go at them. All right, these practices, I know I haven't given you long, but you're a mathematician, so this won't take you long. The idea here is that this again is going to be an inelastic demand, okay? And maybe this is something that is common sense, okay? This is something that you might be familiar with if you've bought tickets to go and watch football games, right? Or any other sort of football game, or you've bought tickets to go to a movie, or you bought tickets to go to a rock concert, right? Then it's more of a one-off, and because you're interested in it, you're going to be more inelastic in your possible consumption of that, yeah, of that movie, or in this case, the football match. Now, there are going to be some. It might be a football World Cup, or it might be the NBA final, or it might be something where it is even more inelastic and the prices will be just astronomical. Yeah, they'll be like hundreds and hundreds of dollars a ticket, and people will still pay it because for them it will be very inelastic. Okay, in fact, for some it might be perfectly inelastic, where they're gonna buy it no matter what. All right. Yeah, not sure, Abby. You got the letter X. Okay. All right. Now, please do practice these sorts of questions. All right. There are a couple in there. Now, I've also very shortly will be arriving in the classroom some exercises. There's just 5 of them. They're all multi-choice. They're all about elasticity and as practice of the skill of calculating PED. That's why they're there. All right. So to give you a bit of practice at that. All right. And for you to see, you know, how the questions kind of look when, excuse me, this is what happens when you're mildly asthmatic and you're inside all the time in the aircon. Right. Calculation of PED generally has 2 possible outcomes. PED is more elastic or it is more inelastic. You've got to remember to ignore the minus sign. There are some special cases. We talked about a perfectly inelastic demand curve, which looked like the letter I, where there was no response at all to the price change, none. Okay. Then we said there were perfectly elastic responses. Those were looking like the letter E. Those were responses where the price really couldn't change at all, and then there'd be a dramatic change in quantity. All right. And then this one, it is unitary elastic. And unitary elastic means that it is exactly proportional. So if it's a 10% price change, it's a 10% quantity change. That means it is changing basically on a per unit basis. Unitary elastic. Now, here are some other questions. Now, these ones, these are going to look quite familiar to you. Perhaps this is more extended response. And so let's have a look at them. It says that there's the price of a sack of rice. It has fallen from $25 to $24, leading to a decrease in the quantity demanded from 850 sacks to 875 sacks. Calculate the value of PED. Now it's rice. So you can automatically assume that because we're talking about rice in the question, and it's going to be more inelastic. Because for a lot of people in the world, and that's what this second part of the second question here is all about, is that for many people, rice is more of a staple good, a more basic good that is a necessity for them. So therefore, they will be potentially prepared to pay more for it, right? It is more inelastic, so therefore potentially less responsive. But yeah, you'll still need to do the calculations to figure that out. All right. Now these are actually worth 4 marks each, as you see. So you do the calculation. So you'd write out what the formula is, right? Percentage change in quantity demanded over the percentage change in the price. All right. Work out the answer like you did before, and then you'd have to say what it means. So you'd have to say it's inelastic. All right. This is an inelastic demand. All right. This one here says 2 reasons why the demand for rice is likely to be more price inelastic. So this is the application side, but it is an explain of the application. So why is this actually happening? And it's 4 marks. So in that case, you're going to get 2 marks because you got 2 reasons. So 2 marks per reason. All right. Whereas here, because it's 4 marks, you're going to get marks for the formula, the use of the formula, and the answer, and making sure that it's all right. And then obviously your comment at the end saying that it is inelastic. Yeah. Now that, if you got both of those 2 questions in an exam, that would end up being 8 marks out of the exam. So this is why, even though maths, the economic maths, the actual working out of these sorts of coefficients can be quite scary for some learners, you can get a lot of marks very quickly from doing it. So those of you who are finding, yeah, I can do this, just like that, all right? You're going to be the ones who are going to gain these marks potentially, hopefully, quite quickly. And therefore you won't need, so this is 4 marks and this is 4 marks. So in the exam, because it's 1.5 minutes per mark, you'd have about 6 minutes in total to be able to answer those 2, well, each one. So that would be 12 minutes answering that. You wouldn't need that. So that extra time you could then spend, right, you know, helping out with some of the answers to some of the other questions. And 8 marks, that would be a very good 8 marks to get. All right. Let's move on. All right, so you also need to be able to make sure that you can use the PED formula, calculate PED, draw a revenue box, and explain why PEDs are useful for firms. So a bit of a tick, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do that? All right, and if you're not sure about any of those, then one of the best things to do, because we're going to be doing this distance learning now for potentially a little while longer, definitely longer than we would have liked, okay, and we've got this idea that it might be, we don't know for sure, but it might be all the way to the end of term. So if when we're going through this material, if it's like, because it's not as simple as you're doing it in class and I get to walk around and see, oh, you're not figuring that bit out, right? So online, if you are struggling a bit with some concepts, please let your teachers know, right? Send an email, I wasn't sure about this, what did this mean? We can deal with it in that sort of way, okay? All right, now those of you who are familiar with Uber, right, which is a version of what we use here called Grab, right? Uber is very popular in, say, America. And there's a discussion there, it's a case study about Uber and how they use elasticity to figure out their pricing. All right, so they work out when what's called peak demand will be, so peak times. So they work out when there is an awful lot of demand. And they're working out that, say, like when it's raining or when the traffic is very heavy or when it's raining and the traffic is very heavy, then they're going to actually charge you more, okay? And they're able to do that because at those times you want to have a car ride, okay? And you're going to be more inelastic potentially with the purchase of that car ride through the Uber, or in our case, Grab. Dum, dum, dum. Now, in the slides which you have access to, there are some videos that you can go back through, working through the calculations, working through the graph and the implications of the graph and the revenue boxes, etc. All good things to do. Now, in the past, I used to get you to write out a table, and the table would look something like this. Now you can do screenshots of these sorts of things, okay? So here you've got the value of your coefficient of PED, right? This then is the explanation. So it says, is it elastic? Is it unitary? Is it inelastic? And then this is the impact on total revenue. So if there's a price increase and a price decrease. So this as a summary table is really useful So please add that to your notes. Okay, because remember, it's a separate bullet point. It is something that will really show the examiner just how much of a rock star you are if you're able to apply these concepts into the idea of business and what they are very concerned about, which is revenue. So you've got the slides. You can easily do a screenshot, add that in. You can do some annotations around it if need be. But that's that one. Now, ladies and gentlemen. No, move on from there. You've done that already. Now we're going to be looking at this. Hold on, I need a noise. Here it is. Price elasticity of supply. Yes, indeed, we're going to be going further down the rabbit hole. Alice in Wonderland reference. All right, those of you playing the game at home. Yes, this is the second half of the elasticity topic. Second half. Now, what that means is for you in IGCSE, you learn two types of elasticity. You're going to learn price elasticity of demand and price elasticity of supply. That's it. Okay. When you get to IB, yeah, there's a couple more. All right. And if you were doing business management, there's another one too. All right. So there are more aspects and sides to elasticity, right, that you can investigate. And if you're wanting, I can certainly explain some of them to you. There's an income elasticity of demand. That's another really good one. There's quite a quirky one called a cross-price elasticity of demand. And there's another one, which again is if you're doing business management, you'd be potentially looking at, and that's an advertising elasticity of demand. Right? And that's a bit different again. So you're going to be looking at here price elasticity of supply. So instead of demand, it is supply. It's going to look really familiar to you. Okay, very, very familiar. So what we're doing now is investigating the other side of the market model, the supply side. How responsive is quantity supplied going to be to a change in price? Because remember, the law of supply told us that when the price increased, the quantity supply would increase as well. But we haven't said how responsive it will be. We haven't said by how much will it increase. Right? Maybe it increases by a lot. Maybe it doesn't increase by that much at all. So your very first task is to think what the formula for PES might be. Now I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. The reason why I'm not giving you any other hints is because I'm hoping, because you're rock stars, you'll be able to pretty quickly figure out what the formula for price elasticity of supply is. Don't ask Dr. Google. Who will be the first to put it in?
Mr. David, the thing is, I've already researched the thing. So,
Okay.
can I just put my answer?
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well done, Emma. Look at that. Yeah. Percentage change in the quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price. Yes, so what we've done is we had, before it was PED, so we had percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in the price, but now it is PES, or the price elasticity of supply. So instead, the equation is going to be the percentage change in the quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price. Well done to those of you getting that. Gosh, look at you all. Look at that. Fantastic. Well done. All right. Yep, remember it's the percentage change, Kane, but yes, you're absolutely right. That's what it's going to be, and it's going to look like that. Percentage change in quantity supplied divided by the percentage change in the price. Now, here's the thing. All right. Later on today, there's going to be a couple of practice questions that are multi-choice. They're going to arrive into the classroom for you to have a work through, and it's going to be about PED, price elasticity of demand. Then, because you've got a short week this week, next week, so not now, but next week, Now, you only got 3 days this week. You worked that one out, eh? Tell you now. In fact, you've only got 2 days left this week. That's pretty exciting. Thursday is a teacher-only day, which means, yeah, I'm going to be working, right? And then Friday is a public holiday, so that's pretty cool. But next week, one of the things I would like to do is to give you a slightly more extended question about elasticity for you to have a work through. And I might put it into a different format. I might try and use something called exam.net. Ooh, scary, all right? The reason why is because, as you've probably worked out, right, those of you who've got friends in different year groups or older brothers and sisters in different year groups, is that because we've got the CMCO at the moment, there are some learners who are doing exams and they can't come into school to do their exams. So they're doing their exams through a computer software program called exam.net, okay? And it's probably good practice for me to give you a short question in the exam.net. Yeah, why not, okay? The reasoning being is because then, okay, you have practice at that. So in the weirdest of circumstances, if as the year goes through and we get to the point when you are doing a mid-course exam and we're back under the CMCO, which hopefully we won't be, but you know, the world is what the world is, okay, then we would be using that particular software potentially, in which case you would have had some practice at it. So I think that's quite a good thing to do, all right? So what I will be very tempted to do is to push that question to you through exam.net. I'll give you a bit more advance warning about that early in the week. But what I will be wanting you to do, please, what I'll be wanting you to do is to do some revision on the concepts of elasticity, all right, particularly PED, because that's what the extended response question will be about. It's going to be an extended response question, so potentially about 4 marks, similar to those that you've seen in the slides that you could actually use as a practice, should you wish.
We can't find the slides though. It's not on the site. I checked again.
Well, that's a shame. I will need to put them there.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
All right. Okay, very quickly. All right. Last thing I'm going to show you today is an example, a worked out example of PES. All right. And here it is, percentage change in quantity supplied divided by percentage change in price. So here they've worked out the percentage change in the quantity here, percentage change in the price. Here's the equation broken down again. And the answer that they have here is the coefficient for PES. We're going to end up using very similar terminology. We're going to talk about elastic responses and inelastic responses and what that means, particularly with regards to supply. We are also going to think about determinants of PES as well. All right, that's where this is going next. All right, so I'm going to do stop sharing. Jump back to the meet to see you all. There you all are. Good to see you again. All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I'm after. All right, reviewing, please, the elasticity topic, looking at the calculations. Can you do the calculations? Can you do the revenue boxes and explain those? The determinants, do we know what they are, how they work, why it's important, who cares about PED, and then potentially maybe starting to look at some of that future concept that we've just discussed, right, which is the idea of PES, and just starting to look at what PES's formula is. We're then going to start looking at, obviously, determinants and the like as well. All right, so I'll give you that as the task. You've also got the multiple choice, which will be appearing very soon in the classroom for you to have a work at. There's only 5 of them. All right, so it won't take you that long. Otherwise, as we'd say in the land of my birth, a cornet, which means goodbye for now. Please have a bit of a mental break before your next class. As we always say, or as I tend to always say, it's always better to have a mental break than a breakdown. All right, so we will see you next time.
Thank you, Mr. David. Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
David.
Bye. Lancelot, you're still here, dude?